Hey everyone, it's Dr. B, and today I want to share with you a personal story about adult resilience. And the resilience happened this weekend with my two oldest kids who tackled a really big mountain. So let's get started. My daughter has had this dream and goal for many years now. I think 3 years she started out and wanting to climb Half Dome. If you don't know what Half Dome is, it's in Yosemite and a big face of a rock to get to the summit. So it's a big deal and requires training for most people. She enlisted my oldest son to go. She's been training all year to do this event. And so when they came home, I was so surprised at what I learned about how it went when they got to the part where it becomes fully rock all the way to the summit. And it's after about a 9-mile hike to that spot. So they're already totally exhausted. But there's this amped up adrenaline run where you really have to face your fear and go almost straight up on cables and boards to get to the summit. So my daughter Lainey has always been a little bit of a cautious child. She thinks out the process, and she's not a big risk taker. And so, she's always been like that. That's just her temperament. And my older son Joe is almost the exact opposite, which would be normal for two kids in a row. He was a go-getter. Like, nothing scared that kid. He would, take a risk, and he would almost always succeed. If he didn't, he fell, he got hurt, he recovered, and boom, he did it again. It always seemed like he was just not afraid of anything. And so when my kids took on this event, I actually was really happy that they were doing it together for so many reasons. But the mom reason, I was happy that my oldest son was there to sort of quote unquote protect my daughter, even though I absolutely have confidence that my daughter can protect herself and take care of herself. But it just gave me reassurance that, they were together and all of that. And so they had taken precautions ahead of time and made plans in case it rained or in case, anything came up. Safety was first. So I was so happy that they were, really doing this the right way. So long story short, they get to the base where, they're 9 miles in hiking, they're dying, it's a lot of effort, and it's time to climb the rock. And never did I think this would happen. My oldest son said, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm just not feeling it. It doesn't seem safe for me. And I just, I'm holding back. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of him for making that decision to stop himself when he recognized that his safety would potentially be at risk, and that if he's at risk with his safety, that puts everybody else at risk of their safety as well. And that he was able to really pause, think about the situation, and decide the best course of action to take in order to be safe. And that he was happy with, trekking as far as he did, and he was happy being there with his sister and making sure that she was safe and really supporting her dream. But he went anyway because he's a guy who challenges himself in those kinds of ways, which made me so surprised that he stopped at the really hard part, because he's also a climber. That boy could climb a 12-foot fence in 10 seconds flat. One time when he was a kid, about maybe 6 or 7, his dad worked at a school where he coached water polo, and they put up this 15-foot non-climbable fence around this pool. And when Joe went down there for the first time with his dad, Joe literally climbed over the no-climb fence in about 10 seconds flat, just to prove them wrong that, it's not a no-climb fence and people can get over it. So that's really who Joe is and has always been. And he's a beautiful person. So, but learning to put the brakes on has been a big lesson for him. So what I wanted to say about this was his resilience really shined through this weekend by him being able to stop, pause, take care of himself, and look at the adversity ahead and decide no, the best course of action is for me to hang here and wait for my sister to go up and come down and be here as a support from this point, not as somebody who needs to go to the top just to prove something to somebody else. So that was the first thing, and I'm just so proud of him pausing. Now, on the flip side, I have Lainey, my daughter, who's the cautious one, who's the wary one. She's been watching the weather like moment to moment. Is there going to be a cloud? Is there going to be thunder? Is there going to be lightning? All of these things. And even though I knew she would go for it, they literally had a plan that at any point, if it was going to be dangerous, they were going to not go to the top. Somebody recently died on this part of the hike, and it requires seriousness. So anyway, Lainey gets to this point. Joe's not going to keep going, and Lainey is exhausted and said, I felt pretty ragged, but she got a burst of energy and is like, I'm doing it. I'm here. I've worked so hard to get here, and I am doing it no matter what. And this is also my kid who's a little afraid of heights, way more afraid of heights than I am or Joe is. But Lainey is one who is a little bit afraid of ladders and climbing up things. So here she is at the face of a mountain. And so she made it to the top. I have this beautiful picture of her, hands in the air at the top of this insane summit. Air is thin, hard to breathe. She is now, on the top of the world and accomplished this amazing task. But more importantly, again, her resiliency shows through by her being able to take a step outside of her comfort zone within her safety space and accomplish something way bigger than herself. And so when I got the text that, they did this big giant hike and they were successful, and that Joe stopped and Lainey went, I celebrated both of them just in my heart and soul, because it revealed to me that both of my children, were able to act on their strength and their courage and their purpose and their adaptability in a situation. And that is everything that makes up resilient soup. Like, that's the thing. So regardless of the mountain, I know that both of them can approach a complex or a difficult situation or task or event at hand and do those things. Be purposeful, be thoughtful, be safe, be smart about what is best for them and going forward. And that is at the heart of resilience, the ability to overcome adversity. And they both did it, and then they had to climb down. So literally they put about 20 miles on their feet that day, and Lainey hurt her knee a little on the way home, and Joe was, paced himself with her like a good big brother would. And so anyway, I wanted to celebrate this weekend because I'm so happy to get to really see my children's resilience in action and their support and love of each other in being successful in totally different ways. And that's so important as a parent, to really recognize how your children's strengths show through in very different ways. So success comes in many, many different colors, sizes, shapes, and events. So with that, and congratulations, Joe and Lainey. I'm so proud of you and I love you so much. And let's go forward, leave a life print.